And welcome back. Will Worsham joined us now for this week's Speaking Legal Discussion. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Oh, good to see you, Will.
Yeah, she just heard about Will eating that snake in China. And she's
I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, you ready for this question?
Yeah, you bet, sure.
We're going from
Okay.
snake eating to this question.
Yes.
My only income is Social Security. I have a couple of credit cards I can no longer pay. Can the card companies get a judgment and garnish my Social Security? Do I need to file for bankruptcy? So, two questions.
Sure. So let's walk through this one. Can they get a judgment? Absolutely. Sure, you can get a judgment. If you violate the terms of your agreement and you owe the money, then the credit card company can hire a lawyer, go to court, and get a judgment just saying you didn't pay as you agreed.
Yes.
Anybody can get judgments in situations like that.
Right.
That's not hard.
Right.
Collecting those judgments is usually the difficulty.
I knew there was
Yes,
a catch.
there
And
is a
so,
catch.
obviously, the collection's the issue here, and that's the crux of this question. Can they collect it from Social Security? By federal statute, generally speaking, judgments or Social Security benefits, be they retirement or disability, are exempt from execution on judgment. So that they wouldn't be able to seize those assets or garnish them to get to that. As far as filing bankruptcy, it could be a good idea just to sort of relieve that situation. And there's a lot of things about this person that we don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you've got a judgment on your record, your public record, that's really bad for your credit.
Yeah.
A bankruptcy would almost be better, and then you would avoid the judgment. And then many times, if a person has bad credit anyway, once you file a bankruptcy and that's complete, your ability to get credit actually improves because you can't file bankruptcy again for another 7 years.
Right, but it's not good for 7 years, right? You can't have a credit card or anything for
No,
7 years.
that's not true. No, there's people that will specialize in lending to people that are immediately post-bankruptcy because of what I just said.
Yeah.
If you file bankruptcy and you get a discharge, you cannot get another discharge for 7 years.
Okay.
So the companies know, the loan companies know, they're not going to get discharged on. That debt's not going to be discharged for at least 7 years.
Why do we hear that, though? People that file, they say, I don't have good credit because I just
Well, it's not
filed.
good credit, but it's not no credit.
There's
can't buy a
always
home.
someone willing to lend you money.
Sure, I mean, the rates might be high.
And they know you can't default on it by a judge.
You can default, you just
but I mean,
can't
you can't get another bankruptcy.
You can't get another discharge in bankruptcy. You can
Discharge,
actually
that's
file
true.
bankruptcy, but
Right.
you can't get the discharge from it.
There seems to be a lot of room for sneaky dealings in here.
Well, I don't know about sneaky, but there's a lot of room for people to get creative. We can
That's
put it that
okay,
way.
creative.
And that might be sneaky, but it might not. It might be somebody saying there's a market here. People need credit, but they've got bad credit because they've suffered a bankruptcy.
Right.
But I think I can lend into this situation, help them out, and maybe make a profit myself.
But don't credit cards sometimes work with you? Wouldn't that be a better way to go?
Yeah, it's very
Where they
possible.
would work with you? Where
Yeah,
you
now a
could-
lot of times, though, a credit card company is not really willing to work with somebody until you're already significantly behind. So you've missed several months of payments.
Right.
And they're afraid, and because you've demonstrated an inability to
Right.
pay,
Right.
that maybe they need to make a deal with you to just salvage
That's what
anything
I'm
out of
saying.
that agreement.
Get
Yeah.
something out
Yeah,
of it.
but there's.
But that follows you around, too.
Oh, it can, depending on how you work all that out with your creditor.
Okay.
So you have to be very specific that, hey, I'll work this out with you, but part of this deal is you're not going to report it as a defaulted account. You're going to report it as a good account.
Can any of that be expunged? just a kind of a joke there. We've
well,
talked about
things
that before.
drop off your credit
Yeah.
report after a number of years, and 7 tends to be the magic number. Once
Yeah.
7 years goes by from any event, then typically, even if it's still on your credit report, it's not going to have a significant impact
That's good.
on your credit score or your credit
Yeah.
rating at that point.
But the ruling is kind of, if you only have Social Security, they can't garnish
They
that.
can't garnish that in most situations, and a credit card company is highly unlikely they're going to fit into any exceptions that might be present.
All right, that's income. What about assets?
Assets are completely different. If you have an asset, and that's the other danger here, is if you were to convert that Social Security income into a different type of income or asset, then it might be subject to execution or garnishment. You might then have the ability to go back to court and say, hey, judge, this came from my Social Security and I need it back, and you might be able to force it back. Now, the expense of getting that done is a whole nother issue. So it's better to just sort of leave it in there. And there are some limits to all that too.
Yeah.
They can't seize it, but banks at one point in time were freezing assets and not giving people access to their Social Security.
Yeah.
There's been a court case that's kind of told banks not to do that. But if you have more than 2 months of Social Security income in your checking account and a garnishment comes in, it's not that it's subject to garnishment, but the bank can freeze more money than that, more than that. They have to leave you the 2 months to work with.
Right.
But anything beyond that, your bank might put a freeze or a hold on that until it's cleared up as to what that source of funds
It's
is.
kind of maybe indicating you're not really just living on Social
Well,
Security.
it's not
if
an
you have it
issue.
sitting
It's just-
there.
It's not an
It's
issue of
sitting
whether
there.
you're living on it or not. It's
Yeah.
if that's the source of those funds, they're
Yeah.
not subject to garnishment.
All right.
But if for some reason you had other money in there, then you might have to sort out where did this money come from. That's
Right.
that's where the issue comes in.
In other words, find an attorney.
It can sure help.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
People want to talk to you or want have some questions. How do they get a hold
Well,
of you?
there's our email address here at the station, wworsham@color10.com, or our website at willworsham.law.com.
Thank you, Will. One more question. Would you eat larva? 'Cause we just-
If it was prepared correctly.
and that is how?
That's it.
And that is how?
Yeah.
Fried?
You got to cook it. Fried would be best.
Good to see you, Will.
Yeah, a little gravy that helps
you bet.
everything.
Up next, it's our 1 million cuts business spotlight of the week. You don't want to miss this. Ozarks Live will be right back.